Hey, it's Will Shannon from Pinnacle Health Clinic in North Parramatta in Sydney and Double Bay. We've had one of the busiest clinics in Australia for years, and I just wanted to share with you 3 quick videos that a female in your life can take, that if you're a female you can take. Now these are very broad spectrum. I just did a video on male hormones. Now female herbs are often about regulation of moods, fertility, regulation of menstruation, stopping period pain, and so forth. It might be cysts in the ovaries, which normally sacs of fluid is the word cyst, but in this case, a cystus neck that's not dropping, or the uterus can get something called fibroids, or the uterine lining can thicken, or you can get endometriosis. Normally, endo in Latin means inside. In, like inside, en, as in inside. Endo means inside, but in this case it means outside the uterus, abnormal cells. So there's a few things people can get, abnormal cells of the cervix. So I just want to share with you 3 takeaway world-class herbs you can use if you're a female or for a female in your life. The first one, chastree or vitex. You might have heard about this a lot actually. This has been going viral lately on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. This is the main one we've used in our clinic for years. Vitex or chastree. They call it chastree because the male monks used to use it to lower their sex drive. It was part of some sort of religious rite. You could even say maybe a covenant before God. But chastree and vitex was used because it's very good for the pituitary gland, specifically in females. Your pituitary gland make specific hormones, which is a little bit outside of this discussion, but we'll go into them elsewhere. Number 2, wild yam. Interesting story behind the birth control pill and progesterone. He started using sarsaparilla, or what they call sarsaparilla, the doctor that discovered the birth control pill, and I'll tell you about this another time. But ended up wild yam was cheaper. Yam as in potato, so we use the wild potato root, or sometimes we use the leaf. It's naturally very high in progesterone. Again, talk to your doctor or healthcare professional about what's right for you, but these are 2 very common ones used around the world. In fact, when women have period challenges, you can take it orally, but often people take wild yam cream, and recently vitex and wild yam cream have been very popular there. Vitex and wild yam, a certain ratio, secret ratio in our clinic, has been very popular for decades. Now, 3rd, passionflower. Passionflower I personally use with both males and females. Passionflower is especially very good for women. Passionflower is good for sex drive. It makes you feel passionate. It's the flower of the passion fruit plant. You should feel passionate. It's good for the nervous system. It's good for anxiety. It's good for stress. These are the type of indications. Have a chat to your naturopath or doctor who's appropriately qualified and has the knowledge. This might be something they might consider putting you on one-on-one, like I do with my clients one-on-one. Number 4 and 5. Now I'm going to put a little line here. If you're young and you're of menstruation age, they might be enough for you. If you're heading towards menopause, here's a couple that you might think of adding. Peony, P-E-O-N-Y, it's a Chinese herb, or sometimes they call it peonia. Now, depending on the way they process this Chinese root, it's a sweet part of the plant that grows underground. They call it red peonia, or white peonia. I'm not too fussed, I won't get into the distinctions. It's a little bit outside the scope of this short video. And this does 2 things. It turns testosterone into estrogen on the studies. And it's a very potent liver cleanser. In TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, they use peony for men and women. I tend to use it almost exclusively for females. And if I don't want to get into more practitioner education, but certain practitioners might even look at it for certain conditions of the uterus and so forth. The 5th one I'll add, speaking of uterine conditions, is raspberry leaf. Sometimes they'll call it red raspberry leaf. I normally just delete the word red because it's raspberry, and raspberries don't do red. Some people call it the raspberry fruit, some people call it the raspberry, the ovary of the plant. It's another conversation about botany. The raspberry leaf. Now, I've used a few different interesting leaves in our clinic and some rare ones. We use bilberry leaf, blueberry leaf, I've used strawberry leaf, I've used lime and lemon leaf. They've got different effects. Those latter 2 are more for the nerves, but raspberry leaf specifically, a lot of herbal science use it for uterine conditions, fibroids and things like that. So I just want you to hear me. This is not medical advice, but these are 5 herbs that you could do your research on. Go and speak to your naturopath, your healthcare professional, your doctor, and have a look. But that's 3 to 5 quick things that will get you going for female reproductive system. I'll add a 6th. I'll add a wild card. It does have a lot of blood thinners. This is the most widely used herb in TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. It's called Donghuai, or they call it Angelica. There's also Angelica you can get from Europe, like Poland, slightly different species, slightly different chemical compounds, slightly different benefits. Donghuai is mainly blood thinners. Now, we'll put a link in the description if you're bleeding too much. I remember having a girlfriend years ago, and she described she was bleeding like a crime scene. She was a criminal lawyer. And I realised at a young age how much females can bleed in unfortunate conditions. So it is very good to have on hand as a herbalist, an emergency mother, someone just needs to help. There are one or two things in your medicine cabinet that can help in an emergency situation if a woman's bleeding too much. So I'll give you some suggestions on another video. And as always, check with your healthcare professionals. And I hope that's a good start for you.